So, and then the third thing we'll talk about is marital life and the law. What does the law have to say about people in marriages? If you are married to this person, and by reason of that marriage, you acquire properties together, you build a house together, you have children together. If for some reason the marriage is no longer there, what happens? What if one person dies? What happens to the marriage? What happens to the children you have together? What happens to the car or the house you guys built together? Is the one alive going to take all of it? Or the one who dies will take some to his or her children or the family side who will inherit from him? What exactly does the law say about marital life? Can you and your husband have a contract or an agreement in the marriage such that if your husband or your wife doesn't comply with the agreement, you will take him to the court of law and sue him or her because you will say that he has breached the agreement? Can you do that? Yeah, so there are specific laws that provide for what can be done as far as married life is concerned. So we'll talk about that. Last but not the least, we talk about children and life after the marriage. I mean, everybody desires to marry, and we all hope and pray that marriages keep becoming beautiful and unique for all of us to be learning from. But can there ever be an after marriage to a person's marital life? When we are taking the vow, we say, till death do us part. So it means that when death comes, we can be done apart. When death results, when person dies, one of the parties to the marriage dies, the marriage has ended. It's the reason sometimes you realize that the one who is alive, after some years, will go and remarry somebody else because the first one is done. But what happens to the life we live after the marriage? Life after marriage. And what happens to the children? When the man dies, the brothers or uncles and aunties will come and say, because this child belongs to our brother and he's no more, we want to keep that child in our family. We don't want the child to be with the woman. Some families do that. What will you do in such situations? What will you do in such situations? Do you just allow them to take the child away, or you can protest and do certain things? So we'll look at the law in all those areas. So I believe we have a full view of where we are going. Okay, we'll talk about premarital relationship, we'll talk about marriages, the three types, we'll talk about the marital life itself, and we'll talk about life after marriage. Okay, now so let's start straight away. The first thing I want you to note about premarital relationships is that premarital relationships, please pay attention, no matter the type, the kind, and what you guys might have been doing or what you have done as people in premarital relationship, that is not qualified to be called marriage. So the first thing I want you to note is that premarital relationships are not marriages. When you are dating someone, that dating does not equal to marriage. It does not qualify to be called marriage. You can actually be doing what married people are doing once you guys are dating, but that will not make you married couples. Are we together? You can actually have a child for a man once you guys are dating, but the law will not consider that relationship to be marriage, even though there is a child involved. Are we together? So if you are dating someone or you are in a courtship, maybe you have 5 weeks, 5 months, few days to the marriage, and you have a child, but the marriage never takes place. The law will not say that, oh, because you were almost about to marry, it is called marriage. No, the law does not regard pre-marital relationship as marriages, no matter their type. Are we clear on that? Is there a question from there? Do you have a question to ask about that? So, what's your name, please? Joshua. Israel. What's your name, please? Blessed. Are you guys related? Your junior brother. Perfect. So, just for example, let's say the name again. Blessing and then Israel. have been dating each other for 10 years, and somehow they happen to, engage in sexual activities, and they have a child, but they never got married. The law is saying that relationship between them, even though they have a child, is not the same as marriage, and the law will not call it marriage any day. What that means is that if in a particular day or time, Israel, God forbid, dies, blessing will not be treated as a wife of Israel. Now, when you are treated as a wife, there are benefits you will get. Okay, an example is that when the two of you are legally married and you acquire properties together, maybe you have a car together, the law says that even if it's only Israel who works hard and save money to buy that car, it belongs to the two of you 50-50. So that if, God forbid, Israel dies, all of them, you will take 50 from that car, Israel will take 50 to his estate, what the law calls his estate. And because you guys were not married, that 50-50 will not apply to you. Whatever Israel has while alive and dating with you remains his personal property. Even when he dies, you cannot touch it. Are we together? So keep in mind, the first thing I want you to take away from here is that when you are dating someone, even if you go ahead and sleep with a person or you go ahead and have children, you are not married, and you will not be accorded a marital status no matter what you do. Now, number two thing to note is that dating, a question, perfect. I would have loved to take a question at some point, but I can take some when they come along. Please, is there a microphone for you? Perfect question. I want you to hold on for a sec, okay? When we get to marriages, then I will explain and then you will appreciate it. Are we together? So I will answer your question in a bit along the line. Perfect. Good you asked. So dating and courtship is often expected to be between a man and a woman for purposes of what? Marriage. When a man and a woman are together because they want to marry, we qualify them as dating or courtship. Now, because you are aiming at marriage, we have it now. Okay, so let's go forward to the next slide. Good, this is what we are. So dating and courtship is expected to be between a man and a woman for purposes of marriage. So if it's not meant for marriage, it cannot be construed as what? Dating and courtship in the context of the law. Okay, this is not about what society may be thinking, but it's about what the law has already stipulated down. Are we together? So can a teenage girl or boy be in a relationship? Yes, of course, but they cannot marry until they are 18 years of age. And when you are 18 years of age, when you are between 18 and 21, and you want to marry, you are a man or a woman, and you want to marry, your parents have to write their consent that they agree for you to marry before you can marry. What did I say?
Said the parents have to add their consent before you can get married.
If you are between the ages of what? 18 and 21. Please keep that in your mind. Okay, you cannot marry unless your parents agree in writing that you should go ahead. But once you are 21 and above, you don't need their consent, but you need their parental approval for the marriage to take place. Are we together? Okay, so as far as teenagers are concerned, they can be in a relationship, all right, but they cannot marry unless they are 18 above. And when they are 18 to 21, they need consent of their parent. If they are above 21, they need parental approval for the marriage to take place. Are we together? Now, the next slide. What does the law really say about premarital relationships again? The next one. Premarital relationship, not a marriage, but an acceptance of a promise to marry. Listen carefully. When you tell someone that I want to date you so that we marry, and the person agrees, we are saying that that relationship you have is not a marriage, but it is what? You accepting a promise to marry. Pay close attention, because that promise you've accepted can land you in trouble or can keep you safe. Now let's see the next one. Breach of the promise may result in a lawsuit for breach of promise to marry. In other words, if you accept to marry someone and along the line you say that you are no longer going to marry the person, it is called a breach of promise to marry, and the person can sue you in court and get compensation for allowing him or her to rely on your promise that you will marry her, only to turn out and say you will not marry her again. Let me give you an example. Israel is 21 years, and let's say, for example, okay, again, Blessing is, say, 18 years. Israel promised Blessing that, Blessing, I love you with all of my heart, and I'm going to marry you, come what may. Either rain or shine, I'll marry you. Then Blessing accepted it, was excited about it, and all her life she has always been looking forward to the marriage, that one day it will happen, they will come here to the altar and have a beautiful marriage, have children together. Then now they are all getting to the time where they should marry. All of a sudden Israel is saying that he's seeing someone else and that he's feeling something for that other person. Meanwhile, remember, Blessing has been waiting since 18 years till 26, and a lot of other gentlemen have come to Blessing, but she told them that no, my heart belongs to Israel. It is Israel or no other person. So she has lived all her life keeping the faith and hoping that marriage will happen. Then when they are just approaching there and she has shown all the men, Israel goes for another person. The law is saying that Blessing can sue Ishmael or Israel in court that he has breached the agreement to marry her. That is what the law says. What it means is that if you are going about dating people and all of that, and you are not sure you want to marry them and all of that, if you are not careful, it might land you in court. Question? Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. What I want to ask is, since you are saying Blessing can sue Israel,
Yes.
for not or breaching the contract.
Yes.
I believe that, or I know that in the law court, it deals with
Evidence.
Evidence.
Good. Good.
So then, how can Blessing sue Israel?
How will he be able to prove that there was a breach? Fine. Good question. So this is what happens. Before you go to court and say you are suing him, you must have the evidence. And evidence could be that, number one, people are aware the two of you are dating because you want to marry. You might have taken steps to know each other's parents, and your parents are all okay that, yes, I mean, we don't mind. If you guys are ready, just start it. And then you have also bought some things for her, because you guys are working and have means to afford things. You bought some car for her, and then maybe she also cook for you occasionally. She has been investing her emotions into you. Okay, these are things that can be proved, and all of you have a best friend who knows about all of you. When you are all together, you go out on some vacations, or they are aware of you, and the society, the whole church is aware you guys are dating, and they've been expecting that very sooner or later you're married. So somebody can be brought from the church to testify to whether or not they have been appearing as people who are intending to marry. The family side can also testify. Remember, when now Blessing is broken-hearted, the family will not be happy with Israel, and they can be willing to support her and say, you know what, yes, we are aware. They even came here and said that they are interested in the marriage. So there was a gentleman who came some time ago, allowed the gentleman to go because I know that Israel was coming. You see, there can be real cases where it is so clear that the lady has lost a lot by waiting on you, or the man has lost a lot by waiting on you. It happens both sides. So that is how it is. You always find evidence, but if you don't have evidence, you cannot go. You may just cry and cry and cry, and then that is where it is not so common people go to court for breach of promise to marry. But there are cases like that people go to court because the lady or the gentleman has broken their heart and they can't take it again. Okay, now the next thing to ask is, what exactly constitute a breach of promise? When do we say there is a breach? Let's see it in the next slide. There is a breach of promise to marry if there is, number one, non-performance of the promise. You say you are going to marry me and it is me alone. If you don't do it, you have breached the promise. Simple. Are we together? The second thing is what we call anticipatory breach. We say we'll marry in 2025. 2025 has not come, but you've got to marry someone else. Will you still marry in 2025? You have already breached the promise to marry in 2025. Even though it's yet to come, I can anticipate that you will not be able to do because you are already married to someone else. So I can sue you for breach of promise to marry. Okay. Now, so the last thing to ask also is, under what circumstances will a person not be liable for breach of promise to marry? When would they say that even though you did not marry the person or you left the relationship, you are not guilty or liable for what? Breaching the promise. Let's see that in the next slide. There are more two instances. One is where you can show that the promise that he made to you was fraudulent, was procured by fraud. He made you believe that he was this kind of person and has this kind of things, and that he works here, his mother is this person. He made you believe a lot of things, only to find out that all of them are lies. He has not even gone to any school at all, but he said he went to KNUST. He is not a medical doctor, but he says he's a medical doctor. It doesn't come from East Legon, but I say he stays at East Legon. The father was not the rich man in the community, but I say that's his father, biological father. He lied to you. So if he lied to you and based on the lies, you accepted to marry the person, you can say that you led the relationship because of the lies. Therefore, you will not be held liable for breaching the promise. Are we together? Okay. The second reason is what we call mutual release. The two of you have been dating each other, but you realize that you are not compatible enough and it just cannot work. So you come together and agree that, you know what, let's go our separate ways. When you agree and go our separate ways, you cannot come and hold me liable that I breached promise. We agreed that we should just let go. So that one, you are all free. Are we together? Do you understand so far? Okay, let me get a feedback from someone. You are paying close attention. What do you gather so far? We are done with breach of promise. We are going to the other part. What do you gather so far? Yes. And then the people beside as well. I want to believe you are following. So what do you gather so far? Yes.
Okay, with the breach of contract.
Promise.
So to me it's like when there is a relationship.
Yes.
And there's a promise. And the man, to some other reasons, fall in love with another person. The woman has
the right.
The rights to sue the man. But if, let's say, the two of them had agreement that we should go our separate ways, then the court will not accept that.
Good.
So it means that the two of you have agreed, so there's no way you can sue
the other person. Perfect. Perfect. One from a gentleman as well, from the back. Gentleman at the back. What do you gather so far? Also, take it. Yes. Your question is separate and I'll answer it. Yes.
What I would say is a breach of contract comes when people, two parties decide to marry you. And as a time will come, one will decide you will not marry again. He or she will not marry again.
Okay, perfect. Perfect. So I'm sure you know this. Now, one of the things I want you to also remember is that, like I said from the beginning, premarital relationships are not what? Marriages. Even if you have been doing what married people are doing, it's not what? Marriage. If you have children together, it's not what? Marriage. Then, but what I want you to know before I go to the next one is this. The next slide. A word of caution for all of you. Why do I want you to know this? Is it because I want you to be rushing to the courts with every small breaches of promise? The two of you have been together for 1 month. You are not feeling the vibe, you know. You don't think you are that compatible, and they've advised against the two of you because of your, difference, values here and there, and you want to go your separate ways. or one person want to break up, the other person doesn't like it, then you should go to God. Is that why I'm advocating for this? Now, for two reasons I want you to be aware. Number one is that I don't want you to fall a victim to a lawsuit of this nature. I don't want you to be the one who will be sued one day in court because you are breaking a gentleman's heart or a lady's heart. Israel, I don't want you to break a lady's heart and the lady will be so broken that she will contemplate having to send it to court. Don't fall a victim to that. Number two, I want you to be well measured in your decisions to promise to marry. Be measured in your decision. If you are not sure that you want to marry the lady or the gentleman, don't make the promise. People don't make promise with words. They make the promise with actions. Every day you are buying gift for the girl. Why? What do you want from her that every day you are buying gift for her? Every day you're going to be hugging him and be holding his hand. Why? If you don't want to marry him or her, just maintain your peace. Say hello, good afternoon, how are you? There we go. Let's be going. Hallelujah. So that you don't fall victim to what? This. And then you also get well measured in your decision. Now, let's go to the next slide down. Let's talk about marriages. So we move from dating and courtship, right? We are going to marriages now.
Make it legal.